Broadsword calling Danny boy.
Okay, YouTubers, this is Joe from ArtAlienTV. Another quick game of interplanetary I Spy going on here. I'm going to take a quick relook at this video, which I published last year, middle of last year, in 2014. Mars Pharaoh Head, ghostly carved Egyptian king. It's been sort of ignored a little bit. It's had quite a few views, as you can see, 6,500, which isn't bad, but I think it deserves a little bit more attention, this one, because it's quite an interesting object. It's very small, as you can see. I'll go back a little bit there. I'll just get it in context for you. Okay, there's the source image. Navcam left B, Sol 719, and you've got a bit of the background of the edge of the crater there, and a sort of little small pile of rocks and sand here, and it's right in the middle of this slot here, as you'll see when it zooms in. But it is very small. It's probably only 3 or 4 inches tall, and it looks to be part of a statuette that's buried, and only the head is showing above the sand, like many of the things that have been uncovered or found by us researchers in the last year or two. It's mostly buried, and you're only really seeing the tip of the iceberg when it comes to artifacts on the surface. And I really do think there are an awful lot of burial artifacts in this area, and some of these mounds may well be burial mounds that have been eroded gradually, and we're now seeing the results of that erosion, and things are starting to show through with various parts, body parts from statues. I found there's the foot, there's various statue heads I've found, and there's also what look like burial artifacts like coffin lids and that kind of thing. Other people have found what look very much like stone coffins and sarcophagi. So it does look like there was at some time in the very distant past a burial site in this part of Gale Crater, and this is one of the pieces of evidence for that. Let's go back a little bit there. I'm going to go full screen here because you're probably having a bit of trouble seeing that. There we go. Let's go back a little bit before the enhancements, and I'll talk you through it. There we go. Let's go from about there. Okay. Right, there's the first enhancement. Now, you can see 2 eyes here that look like they're kind of carved, dark, sort of holes almost. You can see 2 nostrils just about there, and you can see the mouth here with a lower lip and upper lip, and a headdress with something sticking out the side of it here. I'll play that through and it'll become more obvious as I go along. But as I've said before, there's the negative of it. You can see the mouth detail better there now, see? And the nose. And the eyes look white now. But as I've said many times before, the image quality isn't really very good, and you're never going to see a great deal of detail, and going in too close doesn't really help. It just pixelates it and makes it more blurred. But you can see some detail there, and it does look like he's wearing a headdress. Very similar in style to some you might see in ancient Egypt, as you will see when the comparisons come up any minute now. But like I said before, going in full screen doesn't really help a lot. I'll flip back to the smaller screen in a second. But here's the comparisons, and it does bear some striking resemblances to these pharaoh heads here from ancient Egypt. And if you look particularly at the headdress, the shape of this sort of elongated head shape with the big headdress on it, it's very similar, and even has these kind of wing parts sticking out the side here, and something in the middle here which may be a cobra or something similar, like a snake effigy on the front of the hat or helmet, whatever you want to call it, right here. So it's got some interesting similarities and details there. I'll flip back to the smaller screen to make it a little bit clearer. This is the video here, Mars Pharaoh Head. I think I've already said that. Let's carry on. So yes, I mean the problem is when you have low res images like this, especially from the Navcams, which are only 1 megapixel and black and white, it's difficult to determine any real detail. And the only reason that we got any detail here at all is because of its closeness to the rover. Let's just pause that a sec. it's basically right in front of the rover, and it's very small. Like many of the things that I and many other people have found, that some of these things are really small. Doesn't mean the Martians are tiny, because burial artifacts were often in miniature. They were sort of statuettes, and if this is a burial artifact, which it certainly looks like, it may have been in a tomb, and there may have been lots of small figurines and carvings that were placed in the tomb, like you would get in Egypt, for instance, in a tomb. And there may have been burial masks, there may have been mummies. I mean, I really do think that there would be mummified bodies buried in some of these mounds on the surface of Mars, and there do seem to be lots of them. And there's one of these mounds every sort of 20-30 meters. So this whole area, like I've said before in previous videos, it could well be a burial site, at least part of the Gale crater anyway. And that could explain what we're seeing, and that could explain some of the things like spears and swords and pistols and other things that are lying around on the surface. These may have well been buried and are now uncovered by erosion. So there we go. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'll see you soon.